On the 7th of March 1943, the order was given to commence the spring offensive, and Russian super heavy artillery, infantry tanks, assault howitzers and ground attack aircraft of the 6th Army began the simultaneous bombardment of German positions in the Suwalki Gap. The enemy troops, deprived of the support of the German Panzer armies, which were led into another futile assault on Odessa, could not hold their trenches in the open fields and were forced back. Simultaneously, veteran special forces of the 5th began clearing out the fortified positions in the forest south of the thrust. The enemy retreated to Königsberg, where they were encircled by our forces, and over 200,000 men surrendered after intense bombardment. Ukrainian attempts at reinforcing the defenders from the sea were repelled, and Russia now occupies the city that has been the symbol of the Prussian kings and site of their coronation for centuries. Now that Königsberg is secured and we actually have supply in the area, we do need to deal with the fact that, well, first we're having now convoys sent out of Riga, which is not something that I'm looking into. This is trade, I believe, but we don't wish to send convoys through the Baltic Sea because we don't actually control that. So let's divert access here. And we do have Ukrainian and Austrian troops trying to reinforce Königsberg from the sea, but they are being repelled very dramatically at the beaches, and I don't think they will get anywhere. In fact, that Ukrainian division is almost ground down as it is. Now we have expanded a little bit beyond Königsberg against relatively significant counterattacks here, but we get some more infantry in to hold that. I'm more interested in seeing if we have an opportunity here to cut off and destroy a few more forces and secure the flank. Thinking of continuing the northern operation for the time being, because Guderian is operating near Odessa, which means we will have to redirect the heavy tank divisions in his direction if we are to take him on. So for now, let's see if we can chip away at a few more German forces here, and we will see if we can. How's the situation here with the mountaineers? Most of them are relatively exhausted, but we have a few divisions that are combat capable, so we will send those in for starters, with some support potentially from the tanks in the north. And we are transferring the aircraft towards the newly secured airbase in Königsberg, from which they will be effective over Poland. We've also got research finishing up, including the advanced heavy tanks. So that's going to come in relatively handy relatively soon. And we have an uptick in successes in the Atlantic in sinking enemy transports. So it's always good to see that these operations are still effective as well. We are waiting for British permission to land in St. Helena, and then we will transfer the Marines over for special operations. Somebody has mentioned why not use paratroopers? I generally try not to, because it always feels a bit cheesy. But I think for specifically targeted operations, this would be an interesting action. In terms of trade, yes, we are still very short on rubber. We're taking whatever Siam and India can export, but that's about it. The rest is locked up in German East Asia and in the Dutch East Indies, which we would have to invade directly in order to make anything happen there. So it would be interesting, but we don't have the naval forces in the Indian Ocean to contest German and East Asia's naval capabilities. So that's not going to happen just yet. Talking about naval forces, we've got probably about 100 enemy ships operating in the Baltic, potentially. So I would assume that that's the remnants of the German fleet. So if we're looking at the naval intelligence, they have 2 Scharnhorst-class battleships, 3 to 4 Deutschland-class pocket battleships, 2 Tirpitz-class battleships, and 2 older König-class battleships. No carriers, from what I can see, but a large number of potentially reasonably modern destroyers, and light cruisers, depending on what we're looking at here. Can I scroll down? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we've got a few heavy cruisers still. Okay, we've got 3 modern hyperclass heavy cruisers and a fair amount, and yeah, here light cruisers as well, a fair amount. The submarine force has completely been decimated, but the Hochseeflotte is still very much a threat, so we cannot just sail out and challenge that kind of numerical superiority that easily. Another thing we might start doing is to, now that we are controlling Sweden, and I don't know if they are in port in Gotland, or if they are in port on the north, but we can begin, if we can find them, we can begin bombing them in their ports. So that is potentially something. We will need some specialized aircraft for that, but that's something we might be able to do. For now, let's continue the assault here, and we will get the Shatilov's 9th to ensure that they don't get reinforced. So we've got the tanks crashing into the enemy lines, but they are reasonably in the forests. I think probably reasonably well established. However, we might be able to. Can we get? Okay, we got a slightly larger. Larger front now, but we are getting noticeably counterattacked here. So we do have to be careful. We do have to be somewhat careful not to overextend. What we can do instead, however, is we can stop this assault for now and defend here on along the lines, and just stay there and see if we can. Yeah, I think we'll have to wait for the infantry to catch up, because there's still a relatively large number of enemy troops underway. We'll have to divert 1 division just to hold Königsberg for the time being, and make sure that they're there. Okay, we'll stabilize the lines first, and we will get new. We'll see if the mountaineers can push through, and then we can, once the lines are stable, we can use the tank forces. We might be able to get through here, regardless. Yeah, we can't attack here, so we'll keep the tank assault going from here. We'll see if we can push through, while the rest of the forces are just going to go on the defense for now. Construction 5 is done, and the British have accepted our military access, which means we can now send the marine divisions over to, potentially, St. Helena. All right, just a quick check if the naval lines are still clear. Yeah, I don't think there's any enemy force. The Germans don't have submarines. I don't know if Middle Africa has any navy whatsoever. Yeah, they might have a few. They might have a few destroyers, 1 or 2, but that's about it. So South Africa might have. No, they have no navy to speak of at all. So we should be reasonably safe navally to transfer these 4 divisions over. And unfortunately, we don't have an airport, but this would also, everything would be out of range. So we'll begin planning the invasion there. Any progress here? I think friendly forces have been pushed back towards Dar es Salaam, but for now we're not getting involved in the war here. I might have to, if friendly forces can't hold the lines here, then I might have to redirect some to reinstate. Yeah, we've lost the supply position here. I would have thought with these lines established that we would be able to hold, but it seems that friendly forces are being pushed back towards Dar es Salaam. We'll plan the naval invasion, but I might have to return some forces from the Central Asian region once more, unfortunately, we'll create a new force in the Asian. Actually, that would be the African theater. Yeah, we'll have to send the troops back, unfortunately, because it seems that our assumption that the friendly divisions were able to hold this without our assistance were incorrect. Let me put it that way. Let's get these. What are these? Okay, that's just the old 9-1s without any kind of equipment. Do we want to upgrade these? What's the current regular infantry looking like? Okay, the regular infantry has the patrol companies and additional artillery, which means that they're going to use 1.3 supply, whereas where's the older one? Where's the old one? Here. The old one is using 1.08, so they're a bit more lenient in terms of supply. So I think I'm just going to leave them at that. We are going to get, who did we assign here last time? I can't even remember, but I'm sure we have somebody who is qualified. Might not actually have anybody who's particularly qualified. Additional planning speed and armor leader and a brilliant staff. Yeah, we might as well send Vasilevsky. I'm kind of keen to send whoever is best in terms of supply consumption. Okay, send Vasilevsky, and do we have? And yeah, we've got Field Marshal Rater to take care of these things. And once again, we have to send additional troops to Africa to stabilize Dar es Salaam and ensure. Let's send them towards Dar es Salaam for now, to ensure that the lines here aren't falling. And then we'll retake the territory, reconnect the lines, and retake the supply positions, because the Allies are clearly not by themselves capable of doing this. How's the air situation in Africa? Nothing going on, but I can't really divert any aircraft at this point. At least not the. Might get a few fighter wings down there that we don't need in the European theater. But I'm not sure if they actually have the range for it. So we've got 11 fighter wings. If we take one or two fighter wings and send them to from the First Air Army, send them to we don't even have the airbase in Dar es Salaam. Here we would. So let's send them to Kenya, and these two are going into the African theater as well. I do like to organize these things, and that is going to be the this one was the second, so this is going to be the Third Air Army. All right. Okay, so we'll send 2 fighter wings south to Kenya, just to clear the air, do some strafing runs and other things. Okay, we did just finish up with construction, and we're doing the last here on rubber. We don't really need this branch because this is just fuel gain. We could do the excavation techs, because that might actually be a good idea, because I think resource gain efficiency is going to affect the amount of rubber that we are actually producing as well. Yeah, because we would be getting additional rubber out. The other question here is, because I think rubber to a degree is also being extracted in occupied territories. Yes, it's not much though. It's 3 rubbers, so it's not an awful lot. This is not Ukraine yet, so this is all on our side. All right, so that means we can go through the excavation techs and improve the amount of resources available, because that will help as well with the rubber shortages. And we are constructing additional plants that will deal with that quite effectively. Do we have anything to repair infrastructure-wise in Königsberg? Because we are relatively okay. We do have to upgrade the railways here, because that's the bottleneck here towards Kaunas. Okay, so that does take priority. Let's make that happen, and make sure we have supply sufficiently in the north. Okay, the mountain divisions are breaking through. We are facing the 17th Panzer now as well. Mountain divisions are breaking through, but the tanks are struggling due to the low combat width. Unfortunately, the rest of the troops are on the defense, so I can't quite widen it just yet. But we should be able to, once we get, the terrain isn't helping, but if things work out with air support, we should be able to punch through that eventually and deal with that as it comes. So that's underway. Did I see something here submarine-wise that, okay, these submarines are just passing through. I am wondering if we should try to hunt, because there are a fair few troop convoys now going across. I think we'll hunt for a few convoys here with the submarines available in the area, and I think the other 7 are now these are in the Black Sea. So we'll see if we can hunt for a few convoys here going through, and but it might get out the escorts, but then at least we know what's going on here. I'm also diverting some forces from the northern lines here to secure Riga and the coastline here on the Baltic, because this is all not yet secured. We may at some point have to invade Gotland as well, or is it Gotland? To make that happen. Anyway, quick look. Guderian still in Odessa, but has ceased attacks for now. But the Guderian's tank divisions are bruised. You can see that. They're down to about 70% or worse in terms of equipment. So they're very much worn out. Okay, let's see if we can manage to break through enemy lines here. Yes, the mountain divisions are breaking through, which means they can support the heavy tanks in the north that are making their break here, and that will push out once they have arrived. That will help us encircle some of the enemy divisions here. Let's make sure they're not escaping. That would be another 10 divisions if we can catch them off guard. Everything else for now is just stabilizing the lines here, and unfortunately they have reinforced before we had an opportunity to make our way through. But now we have heavy tank divisions that are free to assist with the assault into the forests, which is not the best position to be in. Unfortunately, I think the troops from the east the German troops are already retreating, so let's assist with the mountain troops as well. We'll see if we can cut them off before they can manage to retreat. That would be ideal. Okay, radio interception group is complete, and we should now have complete air control over Poland as well. Yeah, there are a few enemy fighters operating, but the losses on the enemy side, simply due to our operations, are quite outrageous. We've lost almost 100 aircraft on ground support due to enemy AA. That is, of course, part and parcel of these operations. Where did we put? I might have to put armor plates into these things. I'm not entirely certain if that helps against AA. I'm gonna have to look that up, but that'll be something. Okay, we are starting to see improvements in the rubber situation, and we are going to get that cleared relatively soon. Now the question is, can we get through here before? Have we just overrun the Germans? I think we have just overrun most of them, because the 4 heavy tank divisions have made their way through before I think they could escape. Let's see. Have we just overrun them? Yes, we have. So that was... let's sum that up, because there was a lot of them. There was 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. 170,000 troops had been escaping from the east towards our tank, trying to get back to friendly lines, but the tanks have gotten there, cut them off, and they have surrendered without further fights. So the camps are definitely getting full at this point. And the losses on the German side are becoming relatively catastrophic. Let's have a quick look at the intelligence on... They've still got about 2 million men recruitable, so the war support is surprisingly strong still. They are fighting against the news of the combat losses hasn't quite reached them yet. So how much further do we have opportunities, further opportunities? I think we do. So let's shorten the lines for the 5th Army, get the mountain divisions here, and get them to plan additional advances. And we've got the we do have to get the 9th Army a little bit extended here. There we go. We've got these the 3 divisions here. That should be the 14th. Might have to. I don't think we actually have any urban territory here at this stage. So I might actually pull these back for now, just to not overload because these are quite supply heavy. I think they should be. What's the supply? Yeah, they've got a 2 supply use, so they're quite supply heavy, which means I'm going to probably bring these back towards Suwałki for now, where they can resupply, and we will get the heavy tanks from the 6th. Where do we have an opportunity? We'll concentrate. Yeah, we'll go systematic and see if we can replicate this effort here. So let's immediately get the next assault going against Allenstein, and once the rest of the mountain divisions has arrived, then we'll clear the pincer. But also for the heavy tank divisions, the offensive line will be to push all the way towards Danzig and secure the lines here in the north. I think once we have that, once we have this line secured, then we can shift over towards the southern flank and Odessa. But that would be a good defensive position if we can clear out enemy troops in that direction. Attempted counterattack, but there's still vast enemy forces going here. So let's make sure that we continue. Now the heavy tanks fighting in the forests is not ideal terrain debuffs, but the flame tanks certainly help, and the fact that the German infantry has absolutely no chance of breaking the lines is coming in additionally. Now I don't want these. I would try to pin them here, because there's a lot of enemy divisions that are trying to move out, trying to reinforce Allenstein. So I might send 2 armored divisions just to pin them here for now, while the rest is moving north, and we get infantry to back them up. I just want to make sure that they're not escaping, and we'll already launch the next assault from the mountain troops. We are getting additional troops in. I want to see if we can manage to break through here, but I think that is going to rely on the heavy tanks to come in. All right, we've got a few things to check up. We have sunk 2 Ukrainian convoys. Our submarines have been successful. There are Dutch destroyers in the theater. Has any of our submarines taken damage? No. But we have, this should be troop convoys as well. So Ukrainians in exile are trying to cross into the European mainland, and that is not happening. So they'll end up at the bottom of the sea. Quite heavy attacks here against friendly positions, but I don't think they're going to get through any of this. This is just a large number of divisions, but I don't think they'll manage to get through. Although this position is not actually fortified, but they are trying to do river crossings, which is not going to be particularly successful. Of course, from the south, that's a different story, but most of it, and most of the German tanks are still there. Okay. Let's go through. We did complete the streamlined production, which means that we now should have a, let's see, what's been in production since forever? Support equipment. So the cap's now at 125%. So that's where we can get up to. We can convert some. That is just, just to get the old stuff out of the way. I think this is not a bad idea. generally. So let's convert, because we're just upgrading at this point, and that speeds up the process. So we'll convert some old equipment and make that work. How is the truck situation? I think we've got we're now 1,000 trucks ahead, so we're now comfortably at the point where we have enough trucks. So I can probably slightly reduce that, and we'll convert some of the old trucks as well. We should be starting to make some progress with the mechanized equipment. We've got some Sonderkraftfahrzeuge captured from Germany that we can convert. 561. So I'm starting to think if we can use these sooner or later, but we've got 2 more research slots to deal with. So let's just focus on excavation tech, and we've got a few infantry researches to do as well. Although we got the Suvorov series done, is there anything in terms of armor and engine that we do need to research? We might have to. We've also got these to do. And we have the full metal airframe. I think I'm going to get the full metal airframe underway, just because the losses on the ground attack are relatively stark. So we'll use the... it'd be nice to have additional airframes available. Okay, that's just an ace pilot. I'm not particularly interested. Massive attacks across the whole line here still, despite the losses. So the German High Command is definitely papering over that. But we have to design ourselves a new tank. And just to get in on the comments a little bit, people have asked, Terry, why are these so slow? Surely you want faster tanks. Yeah, yes and no. So yes, it'd be nice to have faster tanks, but I find that in practice, terrain and supply situations often can lead to scenarios where they're still slow, no matter what you do. But that said, so I'm not going to put an emphasis on speed, but we make these a bit faster. So the AS tank, the AS chassis, I can't remember, I looked that up. I can't remember what it stood for. Let's have a quick look. Tanks, that would have been the Alexander Suvorov series. That's where the AS comes from. Okay, so let's design ourselves a new tank. Let's have a quick look. Okay, we do need the everything. So I'm not going to bore you with me clicking through the designs again. This is going to be an upgrade. So I'll show you the completed designs once we're finished. Okay, I don't actually have enough army experience to to get the whole thing sorted. So we'll start out with the AS1, the Suvorov 1 tank. It's effectively the exact same design as on the RV1B. I've tried a little bit around with putting additional fuel drums onto it. So the problem is that'll slow it down even further still again. So that would help with the fuel capacity and would allow it to operate a little bit further in terrain, like for thrusts. So maybe it's not a bad idea to sacrifice a little bit. We could throw the engine up a little bit more still. Okay, so they're a bit less reliable actually, due to the whole setup, but they have now an additional 100 liters of fuel capacity, and they have noticeably more armor. Although that is actually, not particularly making a difference. In return, they're using even more fuel than the RV ones. So it's a gradual evolution, I'd say. It's not a radically new design, but it's a good start to begin replacing the tanks with. And we do have a good number of, we've got about 1,000 tanks in reserve at this point. So we can deal with temporary reductions in production efficiency, because that is going to take a while to tick up again, but it doesn't matter because we still have sufficient stockpiles of the old tanks to do work with. All right, so that's underway. I do also want to, now that we have done that, I do also at some point want to change this out into, I don't have the, let me just see how much army XP I would need to have that changed around. That would be 50. have this design changed around. And then ideally I would want to have a heavy self-propelled anti-air. And I would want to change that out against the long-range patrol, which gives us bonuses across. So that would be the maintenance company is helping with reliability on these things. That would be the design. So that's 65 Army XP needed to make that change. So we'll wait for that. But new tanks now coming in, and we have, I think, made a breakthrough near Allenstein, which means we can then immediately support the mountain divisions in trying to break apart the enemy troops that are holding the flank here, and we get the infantry to follow up while we're holding up in the north. And I think we are unfortunately running relatively low on supply now here. Yeah, the supply situation in Königsberg is not great, and in part that is due to the lack of railways that we'll have to deal with. But we will see if we can manage to break the enemy troops here with this combined assault. Colombia has joined the Buenos Aires-Lima axis. That's okay. Actually, we have pushed them out into the north before. Two tank divisions have managed to push out the enemy before we had a chance to close the trap in the south. That is unfortunate. So in that case, we will stop the attack now, because that is not particularly helpful. Okay, and then we'll just expand the territory. So I had hoped to be able to encircle them, but they have capitulated too quickly in the north. Instead, what I think we'll do is we'll just make, now that we're sort of out of the forest, we'll make a break towards the river, secure the lines as planned, and then move south towards the Odessa front without necessarily having additional encirclements. So unfortunately, the German troops there escaped simply because we weren't quick enough to close the cauldron in the south, and we're pushing them back now. But we have taken Allenstein, and once we've secured the supply lines here, then I think we have enough to make our way into Elbing, which I think is no, it's not a supply hub. Danzig is, so we definitely need to take Danzig. Other than that, there's actually not an awful lot in supply here, so this line might actually be reasonably difficult to supply out of Königsberg. If we're securing Danzig, then that's fine. Well, maybe we'll call it here. Let's see, because if we redirect the forces south, let's make sure that we're actually holding this position. If we redirect the forces south towards Odessa, we may have an opportunity to. Guderian is still operating in the area. We might have an opportunity to cut off Guderian in the open terrain, where his mediums are going to have the speed advantage. But at least we're not outrunning our supply lines. So we've secured the position here, and infantry is coming in. So I think what I'm going to do, because that also gives us some time to complete the railway connection towards Königsberg, sort out supply in the region. The next supply position here would be Warsaw, and everything here is within range. But I think it is quite defensible as it is. This is a bit open terrain here near Königsberg, but we have enough troops in the area, I think, that we can hold back these attacks without too much trouble. And it'll also alleviate the supply situation here a bit. So I think it's a good moment to begin reorganizing the tank forces, and we're going to get them. We're going to get them concentrated. Where are we going to make a breach? North of Odessa. So we already have the light tanks here as well. So we're going to get the heavies. We're going to get the heavies deployed here too. Actually, we can probably get it on the same front line. So where is the 16th Army? 6th Army. So we're going to get the rest of the tanks to join, and we'll have we will have most of the. That's the 16th Army. No, hang on. Which one did I just? Okay, something weird just happened. I thought I assigned them to the 6th Army, but now they're unassigned completely. But they're still in the 6th Army, so what front line are they on now? Anyway, I'll figure it out. Okay, we have everything cleared, so we can also redirect the Air Force, the close air support wings, can relocate, and we might have to build up. What's the air situation over Romania? There's nothing, and there's nothing here. Okay, so we can get these. We don't need the fighters up in the air for this. We can get them down for now. I might have to build up the airports here a little bit for which one is the air zone? That is the Romanian air zone. Fighters have range from here, but I don't have enough space. Although we're not facing any opposition, so doesn't make a huge difference. Okay, let's get these wings up for interception, just in case there's any enemy activity. And we've got one fighter wing on air superiority over Romania, and we'll be bringing the scout planes there as well. They can clear out, they can do some intelligence gathering, and we're bringing the close air support wings over for CAS over Romania. And we've still got the rest of the fighters can make themselves useful over Poland. Haven't really seen anything on the Baltic Sea. That should include Gotland, but I think the scout planes here are working reasonably well with the submarines, because we are managing to sink Ukrainian convoys, and these have to be troop transports. So the remnants of the Ukrainian army are desperately trying to move, not into naval invasions, but actually trying to probably move to the European front lines, and that's not happening. I'm pulling the tank divisions out. Mountain divisions are going to stay here on the defense for now until Königsberg, everyone is situated and Königsberg is secured. I do need to make sure that I've got all of the 9th Army troops in place, and that'll also alleviate the supply situation there a little bit. And we'll be concentrating in Odessa, where the next phase is going to be to cut off Guderian and to make sure that his operation is not succeeding. My troops for Africa, they're underway. Troops for the African situation, yeah, they're getting relatively close to Dar es Salaam, and there's not an awful lot of friendly troops holding the lines anymore here. So we will need, and they have been making incursions here as well. The moment I'm pulling my troops off, things get dicey. All right, are my Marines? No, my Marines are on the sea, so they are still, how long is it going to take them to get there? Doesn't necessarily tell me. 21 days, okay. So we're still looking at end of April by the time they make their way there. All right, we have dispatched Agent Andreeva to Buea in order to gather some intelligence on the ground. And we have happy days in the Atlantic. What are we sinking here? Still Dutch convoys. This might be desperate attempts of bringing rubber to Europe. So these vital supplies are being intercepted, and we are positive on rubber now. So our own construction here is dealing with that quite successfully. Which means we can probably, and that's one thing I was actually considering, to assist the fleet in the Baltic, because we do still have a significant amount of enemy shipping here, to begin operations against enemy shipping. So let's see. I've got a few transport aircraft to be constructed. How many do we have? We've got 30 factories already on the mechanized equipment, so we can change that around as soon as we have some army experience over. But I am also thinking of designing some aircraft for naval operations and to begin bombing the enemy shipping as effectively as possible. Okay, we're actually deficient in terms of air technology here, especially the air-launched torpedoes are still the old interwar models, very crappy. So we're going to have to get that researched. And I'm switching one of the excavation techs over, so it doesn't really make sense to design them just yet. So we will do that as we go. All right, for now, everything is on the move, and I'm going to get everything to move off to there. Why are you still on the front lines here? There should be, okay. There should not be any. Okay, this somehow the game has refused to assign these to the front lines. I might have to reload it. Okay, I've restarted the game. Let's see if I can get these finally assigned. Where do we have the 6th Army? Here. Okay, now we go. So for some reason these would refuse to assign to the front line. So these, please use my heavy tank divisions. Please use the railways and redeploy towards the Odessa sector, and we'll get them underway. I might have to do that a few times just to make sure that everything is. I think some of them are engaged in combat. Yeah, some of them are engaged in combat. So once combat stops, then they'll get on the rails, and they will get underway. The infantry is going to secure the lines here. The mountain divisions are going to distribute themselves here along the lines as well, and I think we can hold that without too much trouble. This looks like a determined attack from Guderian's Panzer divisions. Okay, Guderian is moving around a little. Is he moving his Panzers off Odessa? That would be unfortunate. No, I'm still seeing armored attacks against Odessa, so he doesn't seem to be moving off just yet. All right, we've got a free civilian factory and a few Turkestan lawlessness and banditry in Turkestan decisions that we can deal with. Okay, let's see what we can get out of that, because there were a few. This is steel, aluminium, oil. Yeah, none of which I need. So for now, we're not going to do the Turkestan industrialization, but we have made some progress there. Once the infantry lines are stable in the north and everything is distributed, I'm going to pull the mountaineers off towards the Ottomans, but I want to have them in place before we go for the old enemy. So for now, what would this give me? This is just political power and some power projection. That might actually not be bad. I could invite Mongolia. That would free up troops in the Asian sector. This might be not a bad idea. Let's see if we can pacify we can deal with our eastern scenario here. If we can get Mongolia into the Moscow Accord, then that would certainly spread our influence and potentially contain a hostile Japan. Japan is making slow progress here against the Qing government and the United Chinese Front, but it is slow going. And German East Asia seems to be still relatively stuck here in the south of the Burmese Republic. So not much there happening on that theater either. And with that, we do have to keep a bit of an eye on the situation here. But I think we've got railway guns everywhere. So I think all the positions should be clear. And that one is in Königsberg, which is a little bit far away. So I'm going to actually bring them to Königsberg proper. That should work out. And then that should be able to cover most of the positions here. I'm just going to have to get these tank divisions to detach themselves, and then get them on the railway. Right now they're still in defensive combat. Okay, you take the railway and these two as well. Once the defense has been completed here, then we should be able to. If we can manage to actually detach ourselves from the enemy assaults here, but these assaults aren't getting anywhere, and they're costly for Germany on all fronts. Yeah, we should be able to hold that without too much trouble. Okay, so we're getting tank divisions south in order to. Oh, have we? Sure. What have we done here? I think it's the constant attacks that have led to certain positions being undermanned. So let's organize that a little better. And where exactly are you going? Over there, all right. But we should be able to... Venezuela has capitulated. Oh, there's still fighting going on in South America. Oh yeah, Colombia had joined the... Yeah, it looks like the Buenos Aires-Lima axis is taking over all of South America. I wonder if the United States are going to intervene there at some point. We've still got a little bit of chaos here in the front lines. And I think that is in part... I'm going to temporarily overlap this here, just to make sure that these divisions are making their way there. Due to the fact that everyone is constantly getting just non-stop attacked here, I'm going to have to start falling back the tank divisions, because otherwise they're never going to get there. All right, and now please make your way to Odessa. The rest of the divisions is already on the move. We've got 2 more that are actually getting into place, and we've got this one that's falling back as well. And then they will be able to get on the train and make their way there. Just having to make sure that all the divisions here are digging in sufficiently. I might have to spread the mountain divisions a little wider just to secure the lines here, as they are getting a little thin at certain areas. But I think all in all we should have enough troops to hold these positions here against the consistent enemy attacks. We've got the 14th still, which can now actually join in the defense of this position here. So let's bring them in. And we're getting the first tank divisions coming in Odessa. Okay. Not sure why that was a naval battle. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, the rest is just clearing out. And we have the Balski Zavod for our battleships. Yeah, this is carriers, which we don't need, so we're going to go through here. Speed and production cost. Better speed. Because it's going to take forever to get these going anyway. How far are our special projects? Experimental facilities. The Dreadnought project is getting there. We are at 77%, so it's making its way there. All right. We should have the Air Force in place at this point. We do. And we have no enemy operations here. We have the Marines in place as well, so I'm just waiting for the heavy tanks to get into their positions, and we're still waiting for 3 divisions to arrive. Unfortunately, again, this is putting a strain on our supply situation. I might actually have to do something about the supply consumption of these heavy tank divisions. I do have enough to give the Marines 5 organization. I think that's probably worth it. We'll do it for now. We have a paratrooper design, but we haven't actually researched any paratroopers. No, we have. Why does it tell me that I can't assign any? Sorry, I'm a bit random jumping around here. That I can't assign any paratroopers. Where Special Forces branch? Branch specialisms remaining 0. Okay, so I have researched paratroopers 1. Oh, is that the branch specialization thing? Maybe, finally I understand what this is for. So this adds a branch specialism, so I can actually get the paratroopers going as well. We're going to need that if ever we're going to use paratroopers, but for now we have 100 political power, and I think we're going to need more on the exoterrorism, but that is there shouldn't be any enemy bombing anymore, so I'm not sure why that is still so high. That should be declining. That should be degrading a lot faster, in my opinion. But anyway, bolstering of spirits is almost done. So it's not urgent because there's nothing that's bombing us. So instead, what we can do is we can finally get Golovin as the firepower proponent, as our theorist, or we could get Bubnov as a naval theorist, because that's where we're actually still short. We still have it's 3. The carrier branch we don't need because we don't have any carriers. Now, naval XP will accumulate much faster once we're actually using the Navy. It'd be useful for the Marines, I guess, but I'm not sure if that actually applies for the Theorist. It's naval doctrine. So we could get victory through firepower, which doesn't make sense for us. We could get air doctrine cost, doesn't make sense for us. So we're getting Golovin. That is improving the suppressive barrage chance, and the artillery reduces the cost for artillery designs. So we'll take it. And finally, we're complete here. I dislike it if there's an empty spot. All right. So how is this going to work out? We're going to have the Marines lead the charge, supported by the tanks. Unfortunately, now that we've relocated, Guderian has buggered off. So they have noticed that our heavy tanks were giving chase, and Guderian has relocated to Königsberg. All right, which means the hunt for Guderian is on. So let's get all the heavy tanks back to Königsberg. We're going to need them at the front line. We're going to need them at the front line here against Guderian. So let's get them back to Königsberg, and please take the railway to Königsberg, and then we'll get them redeployed, because we don't need the heavy tanks we've got the light tanks of the 6th in Odessa. Which also means that this is potentially problematic, because we are now, if we are getting faced with the overall forces of Guderian's tanks, which means I might actually have to divert some close air support. I would have loved to have the close air support here, but for now I'm going to divert it to Königsberg again, to make sure that we're holding the line there until the cavalry arrives, literally. And I may bring, where do I have them here? I might actually bring the 12th Army over for now. So let's bring the where are we here? Let's bring the 12th Army divisions, except for those that are elsewhere. I think these are holding the lines in Odessa, but the ones that we have in the area. Let's bring them in defensively for now. I'd like them to be here. So let's bring them in just for now, just to make sure that we're actually holding the line until everyone else arrives. And these two need to railway to Königsberg, and then they'll get involved. Okay, so we'll reinforce the lines in the north, and with the close air support in place, we should be able to deflect von Manstein here relatively successfully. But yeah, that is going to be trouble for the infantry to hold these lines. We're now bringing in the specialists, and the first heavy tanks are arriving. So I think we can hold here against the Panzer attacks until the respective forces are in place. Can we please get some of them here? That would be lovely. Especially and the heavy tanks as well. They have pushed us out temporarily, but we are immediately counterattacking with all available forces and pushing the Germans back again. But yeah, it was the correct choice to bring the heavy forces in, because they would not have otherwise been able to hold. And now we're starting to see the first Panzer battles. Unfortunately, these are the 14th Army troops. This is not what I actually wanted here. So let's get these out of the way, actually, because these are not particularly helpful here. So we are dealing with tanks, and that's not what they're specialized for. So let's get these two. Not attack. Let's see if we can get them to stop the assault. Yes, we can, and that means we should be able to get the actual tank divisions into the battle now. There we go, and with that we should be able to push back von Manstein's control relatively quickly, despite the fact that they're all just fresh from the railway deployment. and still very, very unorganized. But yeah, we'll push them back towards Elbing once because I do want to secure Königsberg. There we go. So place secured. We've got the anti-tank divisions for holding the line, and we can probably expand that a little bit because that is going to get relatively heavy otherwise. Let's get the anti-tank divisions to hold the line south, just in case they are expanding their vector here. But we've got heavy tanks in the lines. We will get some more into Allenstein, and we should have the supply lines. Well, they're not yet completed, but we're almost there. So supply lines will be completed relatively soon. We're now in a tank battle, and now it gets interesting. So the 21st Panzer Division, okay, that's just engaging. We can absolutely penetrate these tanks. Yeah, 39 armor, 43 armor. That is not going to help you. And we do have the heavy tanks here now as well. So we're going to give everything a little bit of time to organize themselves once more, while we're digging in and deflecting the German counterattacks. But yeah, for now, now we have the tank battle that we were looking for. So the question is, can we manage an encirclement? And I think that would be this push here. So we've got the close air support wings in theater. I can probably create more. We do have, yeah. We'll just create 2 more CAS wings, get them to train up, and we'll give everything time to organize themselves. But then we'll probably launch an assault. So we're going to get the 6th Army troops to break through here, and with a pincer movement defeat the enemy tanks and see if we can manage to encircle and destroy significant numbers of enemy tank divisions. And now we're seeing the actual battles here. So the German Panzers have a piercing of 28. That is not going to be sufficient to break the armor. These things have these divisions are even just with infantry still. These divisions don't have the mechanized equipment yet. We are going to need, what was that, 65 Army XP for that. So we'll get there. But yeah, this one is the trick here, because even if they were able to, to breach the armor, which they're not, they wouldn't be doing an awful lot of damage. Whereas our large guns are making absolute mincemeat of the German Panzer divisions here. So engaging the heavies of the of Stephan's 6th. These tank battles are very one-sided. All right, probably last item for today, the successful Sannikov expedition. We haven't heard from that for a while. The 3 ships stayed the winter at a small trading settlement of Logashkino. The ships sent ample provisions and modern facilities, so it was actually the least rough wintering Kolchak had spent in the Arctic. The ships were able to respond to a number of other distress calls and conduct various smaller scientific projects around the Laptev Strait before the winter finally closed them in the coast. I think that was the right decision to let him stay. But after a long and dark Siberian winter, they were in prime position to travel north to solve the mystery of Sannikov land once and for all. The ships turned northwest after Novaya Sibir, where pack ice started to turn into ice caps. With the strength of the 3 icebreakers, they could still advance up to the De Long Islands and set up a temporary base on Bennett Island. There they could mount sled expeditions to the north during the brief Arctic summer. Kolchak led the expedition personally. He was still an able skier. 7 men and a good number of dog sleds set for the north towards Sannikov land, though the preliminary scouting flights with their Polikarpov had already cast a doubt on the existence of the land. Perhaps it was true that the island was a mere polar mirage, a mirror image created by air and ice, or that it had once existed but polar ice had swallowed it decades ago. Whatever it was, Semla Sannikova did not exist. They had ample time to take the coordinates and measurements. There was nothing but glaciers as far as one could go. They spent the remainder of the summer conducting various geological and marine surveys in the area and gathered as much scientific information as possible before they pushed east for Vladivostok to map some final parts of the Northern Passage. Admiral Kolchak had conquered the Arctic. Congratulations, everyone. And that gives me 30 Navy experience, good. And Kolchak gains quite some experience, and he will be returning as Chief of the Navy. So he's back, but he is all improved with 10% fleet coordination, 10% ship recovery rate, and 20%. I did like Stark better, to be honest. But I can't change it, so there's not much we can do. I've got a few free dockyards, and that is probably due to the refits being somewhat doneish. Let's see if I did have a few upgrades still. We could refit some of the Oshakovs. Because we still got until September until the fleet's ready, so we may as well do that. Let's have a quick look if the Ushakov is up to date. Yes, it is. So we can do a few more fleet refits while we're at it and get these 3 ships refitted. Really? I have to do it one by one? Oh no, I can do it for all. I just have to select it. There we go. 48 days, that works. So let's get them. We should have enough dockyards to make that happen. So let's get them all refitted. And I have not quite enough actually, but we'll get there. The first we've got. We will have some ships already falling out. In worst case, I can call it off again. But we will see if we can still get the refits done on the Oshakovs. And before September hits, and might as well just build a few more dockyards. It's not something I've ever done here, but we have a bit of available space in the newly discovered Arctic. But I'm more keen on the eastern side to get the Vladivostok shipyard a little bit improved. So let's dedicate one production line to 10 additional dockyards in the east for additional Russian naval forces. We have a special project available, and that's because we have a breakthrough on land. So we've got the Kiev position, which is safe at this point. This is a multi-charge large caliber gun. That's probably that's sort of the chemical railgun kind of project. Or we could get the military engineering vehicle. I might get that actually at this point and see if that's. We'll just get it underway and see if that's useful. All right, so we are engaged in bitter armored battles with Guderian at this stage. And we don't need all of them to move off. Leave a few here, please. We've got the 12th Army in position. We're still trying to get additional supply out of Königsberg. But yeah, the supply situation in general here on the lines is reasonably bad. We definitely do need to take Danzig in order to improve that. And we have. But for now, we're holding back the assaults under von Manstein relatively successfully, especially that the heavy tanks are now in theater, and I think I can start pulling the mountain divisions off here as well. Yeah, so let me do that quickly. That would be the 5th Army. So let's get these mountain divisions. Let's bring them to a new front line. Oh, Armenia is not in. Oh, that's unfortunate. Armenia is not in because they decided to remain in the Tabriz Accords. They haven't joined. Can I fix that in any way, or do I have to Do I have to console fix that? I don't think I can. We can field test some more equipment for what it's worth. I can't do any of these. Can't invite Greece. Is there anything here on Armenia? I've done this, which should have allowed me to invite Armenia, but yeah, it's something has gone weird. So I think yeah, we're not demanding. We haven't demanded Armenia. It would have to be here in the Russian world tree. So something's gone weird. What I might do is I might just fix that on the console, because I think this wasn't supposed to happen. I think they were supposed to have joined the Moscow Accord. So we'll make that. Otherwise, we would have to invade Armenia. But I think that's not necessary. So I'll fix that, and then I can deploy the mountain divisions here. Actually, I don't have to. I can just leave that as is. I know it annoys everybody, but what I can do is I can just deploy them here. So we would have the mountain divisions deployed here for a thrust through. How's that looking supply-wise? Not good, actually. Although, yeah. We should have enough supply to push north, yeah. So with the offensive line towards the Black Sea coast, and then we'll cut through the Ottomans. We'll link up with the Greek, and then we can open a southern front against the United States of Austria. So that would be on the cards as well. And while the situation clears itself in the north, and we're getting the supply sorted out, and we get the heavy tanks planned. We can also launch the Odessa offensive in the next episode.